I think that they viewed Trump as basically like an irritant to be contended with for 4 years. And then once he was out, they could sort of resume the regularly scheduled programming, especially with foreign policy. But Trump is now back in, and he's more or less like campaigning on doing exactly what he did in his first administration in regards to foreign policy, which was actually very successful. I mean, we always say, he didn't start any new wars, and that's true. But he also reduced our presence in the Middle East. He set up the timeline to get us out of Afghanistan. He broke from establishment orthodoxy with the regime change program in Syria, where we were trying to topple Assad's regime. And of course, the media ran with that and said that this is Trump's gift to Moscow because Putin was aligned with the Assad regime and things of that nature. But it is so incredible. And I don't think Trump gets enough credit. It's not enough to say he didn't start any new wars. To get up on a debate stage with Jeb Bush and say, actually, your brother didn't keep us safe. The Twin Towers came down under your brother. He didn't keep us safe. And Jeb Bush, before he says that, if you remember in that debate, I think in maybe February 2016, and he was booed for this, by the way, by the donors and the special interests. People think like, oh, Trump owned them. Everyone loved it. No, he was booed for this at the time because he had mentioned after Jeb Bush said, well, my brother kept us safe because he constructed a national security apparatus. And what did that security apparatus end up doing but targeting the very patriots, like you said, who actually voted the Bush family into power 3 times? And so Trump was able to do away with all of that and break free from it in a way that was just impossible. I mean, if you had said that as any other Republican, it would have been political suicide. And until Trump, your level of Republicanism was measured by like outspoken support for the wars in the Middle East. You had to go along with that.
Trump losing 2020 is the greatest thing we could have ever asked for.
I agree.
That's the enlightened take.
It's true. If he had won in 2020, he'd be sitting around with the likes of Pompeo and other swamp creatures. After 4 years and some time to reflect and some better advisors, and he's asking how he lost the presidency. He's come back in, and you got Pete Hegseth, you've got RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Matt Gaetz, and the heads exploding. It's just the most beautiful thing imaginable. I can't buy enough champagne. We got a bottle yesterday. I'm thinking maybe we should just get a stock shelf because Trump he's still got what are we looking at? Like 24 more appointments, I think.
Of the heads, big ones,
or is it not? No, wait. Is it? Yeah, I think 24 maybe.
And to your point, there's always one, maybe 2 people that don't get confirmed. I don't know how likely that is going to be the case this time. As in, I think it's likely that they'll put their foot down about one person and actually be able to prevent it. But there are multiple people that are making the left absolutely lose their mind. Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Gaetz, RFK, they're all making the left absolutely lose their mind. And that says to me, these are the right people for the job.
I think the wild cards are good too because it allows Trump to basically be like, okay, you thought you were going to primary me. You thought I was going to be in prison at this point. I'm back. I've installed loyalists. I've installed my family into the RNC. These are now who I am appointing. And you are either going to side with me and vote yes, or you are going to demonstrate that you are disloyal. You are a disloyal R, and I'm going to have to teach you how to win. And so it's an effective mechanism, I think, for finding out who's going to be loyal to him and who's not and how that affects his administration.
So everyone's talking about recess appointments. We've got this article from the Daily Wire. This is how recess appointments work and how they could help Trump fill his cabinet. One potential workaround is the president's constitutional authority to adjourn both chambers of Congress. And when they're adjourned, he can appoint in recess. I don't know that he's going to have to do that. I think there's a decent probability he does. But I'd say right now, my estimate is probably 2 to 1 he doesn't have to do this. I think that from what we've heard so far, Trump cut deals for these appointees. So he's announcing this stuff and people are losing their minds. I'll say this about Matt Gaetz, because we mentioned it yesterday on the members only show. Everyone's acting like this is the apocalypse, all the Democrats, the neocons. I think Trump probably cut a deal with Congress. He says to Mike Johnson, look, Matt Gaetz is headstrong. He's not going to back down, and he's here for his constituents, not for you. If the NRCC?
Yeah.
If they want to continue to function as they have, well, how about we do this? You make sure the Senate confirms Matt Gaetz, he's out of Congress. He's not going to be in your way anymore. And they probably said, okay. They're not really worried about him as an AG. They're all collectively losing their minds. But I see this as the machine actually, they don't like Matt Gaetz in Congress. Now, a lot of them are deeply worried about him being AG because he's going to go after corruption. But most of the political of the mechanism is not super concerned because the game that they're playing is legal. The way they do these donations to the NRCC to fund campaigns, the way they choose who gets funded and who doesn't, that's all legal. They're not worried about that. So I actually think the people Trump is choosing, very likely to go through. There's going to be some hubbub. I don't see Matt Gaetz resigning unless he had some assurances. Matt, however, because of the opposition, maybe this does come down to a recess appointment. But either way, I think Trump is a learned man. I think RFK Jr. was obvious that it was coming, and he just keeps hammering out these individuals that is causing panic in the Beltway. That says to me that Trump is basically, look, there's no way that we're going into this next administration and all of Trump's nominations get kicked back. And Trump has chosen nuclear bombs in Tulsi Gabbard, in Gaetz, in RFK Jr. So either he's going to get his confirmations because he's cut deals already, or recess appointments, and he gets them anyway.
Just on your point about it was the best thing, I think it was great for the American people that Trump did lose in 2020.
Yeah.
Just because they got their butts kicked in. The normies needed a punch in the gut to realize how bad a Democratic-run state a party was for the country. And now...
I hear you, but I'm not a big fan of that, like, ooh, if something bad happens to you, then you'll learn your lesson.
Well, yeah, but it happened. So
Right.
got a taste of it.
There you go. I can't remember do you guys remember who it was who said that they think sometimes we need terror attacks because then it reminds people, like what the security state does for them? Yeah, Luke Rudkowski would know this is. If he's in the chat, he'll probably say, but there was some Republican who was like, sometimes I think we should have them. That way, people will realize what security is there for.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's kind of a crazy thing to say, but there is some truth in that. People vote for Democrats when they think everything's fine, and then Democrats burn it to the ground, and they go, help Republicans, and then the Republicans have to come back in and clean things up. And that's not necessarily completely true, only right now I'm saying. And, if you go back to the 2000s, the Iraq War, Afghanistan was an absolute disaster. But I'm curious your thoughts, John, because Donald Trump using recess appointments it's within his powers, but it's a very, very strong executive action, right?
Yeah, I think that's what people would like to see, at least in the base, is some sort of, I hate to use the word balls, but that's what people want. People lament the first Trump administration. They think it wasn't as fruitful as it should have been, which I understand. And I think that they are aligning themselves such that they should be able to do that. Because, you look at somebody like RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, these are not like staunch, good old boy type conservatives. They should be able to be installed into these positions.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.